Good day. My name is Richard Borax, and here we are again on Law and Reality, Immigration Law, Immigration Reality. Today's a very serious conversation, very serious discussion, and it builds on what the Undocumented Worker Committee said last week here on this show. Last week, the committee, which deals with the politicians and the lobbying, that committee made it clear that there will be another resolution partially for undocumented skilled trades workers coming in Ontario, in Canada perhaps, whether under this government or probably under the new government, because the Trudeau government will not survive, even if not as a majority government. So last week we were told that change is coming, solutions are coming. What I want to discuss today is perhaps a little uncomfortable for many people, but the numbers must be addressed, and the lessons from the numbers must be addressed, and the history must be addressed. We have the chart, please. Now this is, it was up last week, this chart, and it's important for the community to understand the lessons behind the chart, because the concern is this: too many people of European background simply do not want to become Canadian residents. They say they do, but they don't. They don't knock on the door, they don't apply, and they don't ask. They sit back and they complain and they want somebody else to lobby and fight for them, but they don't want to apply and they don't want to keep lobbying. And that's what we talked about last week with Manuel and the Undocumented Workers Committee. That's why other communities, such as our Indian friends, our Chinese friends, our Nigerian friends, they stick together, and when it's time to apply, they knock on the door, and then they lobby. They help each other. But Europeans, and I include all Europeans from Latin America and Europe, they have this culture which in Italian soccer is called catenaccio. And catenaccio means you play a defensive game and you stop the other guy from scoring. Europe is not a country, not a civilization of Ronaldos. It is a civilization of people playing style catenaccio, drag the other guy down so he doesn't win. And I'm not saying that to be dismissive or hurtful or spiteful, but to be positive and look forward, because I'm worried that when the new rules come in for undocumented skilled trades workers, probably under the new government, but maybe under this government, what will happen is Europeans will not come forward and apply. They'll do what they always do. They'll sit back, complain, watch, and drag the other guy down who wants to apply. So rather than just give my opinion, let's see what the numbers teach us. And first we have the Lusophonia numbers, and then we have some of the other European numbers. So let's look first at the top Lusophonia country, Brazil. So last year into Ontario, Brazil was the top Lusophonia country, bringing in workers of 1,225. Now, why is that number much higher than, let's say, continental Europe, Portugal, the Azores, Poland, and Italy? And I'd suggest it's because Brazilians, when they come to Ontario, when they come to Canada, it's tough, it's expensive. The exchange rate with the real is not good. And the people who can make the money to buy an airplane ticket and then qualify for an ETA or a visa to come to Canada have to have a better education. And this is why the Brazilian community in Ontario is far and away better educated and more sophisticated than any of the European communities with undocumented workers. These people come here with a clear focus. They know they have to learn English. They know without the English language, they will not become immigrants. So a lot of Brazilians spend a lot of money learning English. The ones who come from wealthy families and have the money, they go to school full time, they perfect their language more, they pass the IELTS English exam, and they work for 1 year, and they become immigrants. That's why the Brazilian number is high. Now, for the other 30,000 approximate undocumented illegal Brazilians in Ontario, they're also much better educated than the undocumented workers coming in from Europe. We have many undocumented Brazilians who are working construction. They're engineers, they're doctors, they're lawyers, they're engineers. And they also speak better English, but they simply didn't have the money to continue with their education and stay within the formal process. But at least the level of commitment, as we can see from the number, the Brazilians apply. They just don't hide. They apply when they think it's the time. Now is the time. It's the right time. And as we go forward, they're going to be coming in larger numbers, because there's not whether it's soccer or whether it's immigration in life, there's more of an offensive style to the Brazilian culture. That's how they play soccer, and I suggest that's how they play immigration. They know if you don't ask, if you don't knock, you don't get. If you don't kick the ball, you don't score. So that's why the Brazilian numbers are higher than the other Lusofonia numbers. Now let's look at the Lusofonia numbers. They're pathetic. There's no other way of saying it. When you have only 55 Portuguese coming in as economic immigrants to to Ontario in 2018, and 0 from the Azores, 0, and 0 from Madeira. They're just from Europe. What does that tell us? Well, that tells us there's a lot of nonsense going on in the community. I really am tired of a lot of these folks from continental Europe, including Poland, including Italy, being like children in a pastry shop when they come to discuss immigration. They don't speak the language, and still they think if they get an LMIA or if they find some magic solution, somebody tells them it's easy to win on humanitarian or whatever other process, they buy it, rather than biting the bullet and realizing if you can't pass the language exam, your chances of winning are next to 0. I know there'll be people out there ready to condemn me and curse me and accuse me all sorts of terrible things by making these comments today. But folks, look at the numbers. Look at the numbers. 0 for the Azores. And if our Azorean friends and our continental Portuguese friends and our Polish friends and our Italian friends, if they don't change their attitude, then when the ship moves out and skilled trades workers will find a path to success again, those folks will do what they've done traditionally. They're going to sit in the cafes, sit in the bars, and they're going to condemn those people who are trying to apply, who are trying to get into the system, who want to go knock on the door and enter. Because the vast majority of Europeans are playing catenaccio. They want to stop the other guy and stop those who are helping the other guy rather than help themselves. I've been doing this for many years. I was born in Europe. I guess I'm a European. And I can tell you, that's the nature of the beast. And especially, and I'm going to say something very hurtful now, but I don't mean it to be hurtful. I want to be positive. Whereas from Brazil, we're getting a much stronger education group coming up here. The stronger education group in Portugal, in Poland, in Italy, they don't cross the ocean and come here. They go to England, to Germany, to France. They have European passports. Why would they want to come here? Especially the Azoreans, who have a long tradition of not going to the continent, because essentially Azoreans are Americans stuck in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. They come here. But the most frustrating part is they don't apply. Their families and their community organizations do not tell them to apply, do not educate them, and do not lobby for them. Instead, they're back to the catenaccio. They criticize, they play defensive, they criticize those people who want to help them. They destroy success. And nobody is stupid. Everybody knows that's going on. And government knows that's what's going on. That is why there's no great Russian government to help those who will not help themselves. Remember, the good Lord giveth to those who ask and knock on the door. So let's continue with this geographic analysis. Numbers: Angola, Mozambique, Lusophonia. 0 for Angola, 0 for Mozambique. Okay, so people say, but it's Africa, but they're poor, but they're uneducated. My friends, excuse, excuse, excuse. Look at Nigeria. Nigeria, we have here a lot, 2,900. Now, Jamaica's not Africa, but there we are, 540. But the most significant number is the little island of Mauritius, 230. Mauritius, way off the coast of Mozambique, has 230, and Mozambique has 0. Why? Because coming from Mauritius, what do we have? We have a lot of our people who are Indian friends who come here, and they work together, and they apply, and they lobby, and they don't rip each other apart. They don't play defensive soccer. They kick the ball forward and they move. But our Angolan friends don't, our Mozambique friends don't, our Luso friends don't. Our Italian friends don't, and our Polish friends don't. But they complain. They always say, why are there so many Indians? Why are there so many Muslims? Because those folks apply. Because they fight and they lobby, and because they do not rip each other apart, and they do not rip apart those people who help them. Over the years, I've acted for Muslims, for Punjabis, for Chinese, in Taiwan, many, many groups. And I can assure you that each and every European-based culture, it's frustrating and it's difficult. And there's an old saying, no good deed goes unpunished, and no good act goes unpunished. And European culture is to punish those who try to get ahead. And who punishes them? The government of Canada? No, 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 no. Let's not blame the government. The government treats everybody equally. They treat everybody like crap. They make it really hard. But the folks, they move forward. And in those other communities, they respect those people who lobby for them, who work for them, who apply. But in European-based cultures, they rip down those who help them, and they rip down those who apply. Now, why am I going on like this today? Because I know, and I've done this many times before, we've never lost a political battle. Never in 40 years. And like Manuel said last week from the committee, it's coming. This is not my sales pitch. The fact is, it's coming. He based that on his understanding, which is very good. And what's going to happen? Well, I'll tell you what's going to happen. It's going to come, and the Europeans, again, are going to miss the boat. Most of them, 90%, I'm telling you right now, 90% are going to be ripping down the 10% that's going to apply and go forward. This is the first and last time I'm giving this sermon. First and last time. But I'm doing it because I do not want later the wreckers and the evil badmouthers to say, Richard, why didn't you tell us this? If you knew, why didn't you tell us? Well, I'm telling you today, first and last time. It's time. If you don't knock on the door, if you don't ask, I don't want to hear any complaining. But of course, there will be complaining. We're just going to ignore it. So, folks, I won't lecture you again. Let's be positive. Let's go forward. And to those 10% of the people who are serious, God bless you. There's room in this country. Apply and go forward. To the 90%, don't bother me. Have a nice day.